Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going. As I like to point out each and every day, it expands our base. We are headed for a confrontation. Chief Justice John Roberts, in a speech in Buffalo, New York, warned the president, and it was an address directed at the president, although he mentioned the Congress, that the courts have the final say, that the courts will interfere if they feel that power is being abused. It was a powerful, compelling moment by John Roberts, and one which should give Donald Trump pause, because we know that the Trump administration is determined to challenge the very essence of what the courts do in this country. It boils down to something called a Unitary Executive, the theory being promulgated by those on the right, some on the right, that it is the president who has the power, and everyone else has to go along. Now, I say this because there are several key decisions that are going to be made by the courts, which will have a huge impact. Let's begin with the fact of Libya. Libya, a nation in North Africa, is hardly a stable place. They are in the process of fighting a civil war, which has gone on for years since the overthrow of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Libya is divided between a military coup and forces that are still fighting for control of various areas of the country. And let's be clear, although Donald Trump says he does not know whether we are planning to deport people to Libya, the simple answer is, of course he knows. His disingenuous answer on this question should be profoundly disturbing. First of all, take a look on the State Department website. Take a look at how Libya is classified. It's classified as a nation which you would not want to visit. It's unstable. And human rights, there are no human rights defended in Libya. And yet, Donald Trump and his administration are talking about deporting people to Libya without, and I want to emphasize this, without due process. We have talked about the importance of the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. We have talked about the fact that Donald Trump seems to feel that he is not subject to the Fifth Amendment. And yet, can you imagine the commander-in-chief, that is Donald Trump, compelling the military to ship people who are undesirables in this country to Libya, and perhaps without any protection under the law? Now, there is a U.S. district judge. His name is Brian Murphy, and he issued an order which says, no, you can't do it. He is with the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. Now, the argument that the Biden appointment, because Biden did put the judge in place, should disqualify him. The Trump people believe in these partisan attacks on judges. But I want to point out that many of the judges who have been ruling against Donald Trump are people who were put on the court by Republican presidents. I point this out because it goes right back to how we began, the question of John Roberts. He is issuing a warning, a shot over the bow, if you will, to the Trump administration. Be careful how far you go, because we, the courts, are the final say. This contradicts the very essence of what Donald Trump's advisors are saying, and it has led the Vice President, J.D. Vance, and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and others in the administration to suggest that Donald Trump and his administration might not choose to conform to court orders. We are headed for a confrontation without any question. And I want to make my position crystal clear. The Fifth Amendment due process is part of the Constitution. Donald Trump took an oath to defend, protect, the Constitution of the United States. And now, what we are seeing is, I think, the ultimate abuse of power. There is no doubt in my mind that the suggestion that the United States would ship people to Libya, or, may I tell you, even to El Salvador, clearly violates the rights of individuals in this country. If you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in due process, then every person in the United States, not just citizen, every person in the United States is entitled to due process. And if the Trump administration chooses to ignore the Constitution, we have a real continuing crisis. John Roberts spoke out clearly and precisely, and thank heaven he did. But now let's understand something. If this push comes to shove, and the Supreme Court is put in the decision to decide what will happen, a decision of great consequence, then make no mistake. There are two justices on the Supreme Court who are going to be watched carefully. The Chief Justice, John Roberts, who essentially is saying, don't tread on the courts. And the other is Amy Coney Barrett. She was put on the court by Donald Trump, you will recall, and yet she seems to have a certain independent streak which determines what she will do. MAGA Republicans are very upset. There are some MAGA Republicans who have attacked her, saying she has betrayed the president who nominated her for the court. Nonsense. Because do you understand that once a person serves on the United States Supreme Court, their loyalty is to the Constitution, and that applies to any judge or any elected official, yes, including the President of the United States of America. We are going to watch carefully how this all proceeds. But I must say to you with absolute certainty that the future of our republic depends on what the Supreme Court does. The cases now pending against Donald Trump, decided in a lower court, opposed to Donald Trump's position, will now ultimately be decided by the United States Supreme Court. So I am going to watch and listen to what the justices say. I urge all of you to read the Chief Justice Roberts' statement in Buffalo, New York. I think we had better understand that when one speaks of a constitutional crisis, what is happening now, right now, is, well, just the tip of the iceberg. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which is, of course, our goal. You can interact with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or by directly emailing me. Many of you do, and I'm very grateful for your comments. And my special appreciation to Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this podcast, who ensures that we are up and running every single day. I am John Rothman, and you are listening to Around the Political World with John Rothman. See you tomorrow.